Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be taking a bit of a follow-up to a video I released a couple days ago on the whole Unearthly Child first episodes of Doctor Who right situation. And yeah, things have heated up since my last video, and I kind of just wanted to go over some of the things that have been spoken about. I mean, there's been a lot of things being spoken about surrounding this in the last sort of 24, 48 hours. But I just want to go over a few things, including the original director of the first episode, Tharries Hussein, basically coming out against Steph Coburn, who is basically trying to ransom these episodes. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny little favour and click that subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for the support recently. It's genuinely been a little bit insane, and the channel's been doing incredibly well. So, thank you all so much. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoy, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments on all of this stuff that we're going to be talking about today, because, as I'm going to talk to you in a minute about, it gets even crazier than the last video. But let's just get right into it. So, this actually comes from Ian Levine. Now, Ian Levine is a somewhat contentious figure in the Doctor community. However, I have to give him his full dues with this and say he's done an incredible job. Essentially, Ian Levine reached out to Tharries Hussein. For those of you who aren't initiated, Tharries Hussein was the very first Doctor Who director, period. He directed the very first episodes and several others from the William Hartnell era, and Ian Levine said, I just spoke to Tharries Hussein, who directed An Unearthly Child. He knew nothing about this, and is absolutely up in arms at what Steph Coburn is trying to do, and confirmed that Verity invented the word TARDIS. So this was something we didn't really cover in my previous video. Steph Coburn is not only trying to, I guess, get these episodes removed from streaming or removed from the BBC iPlayer streaming package, he is also laying claim to the copyright of TARDIS. He's essentially claiming that his father, Anthony Coburn, who wrote An Unearthly Child, was the one to come up with the word TARDIS, though this is heavily disputed by virtually everyone else who worked on these episodes, saying that no, in fact it was Verity who came up with the word TARDIS, which is pretty much one of the most iconic words in Doctor Who, to the point where I think it made its way back into the English dictionary. Ian continues, Tharries said today he never met Anthony Coburn as director of An Unearthly Child. He dealt with Verity Lambert, David Whittaker, Mervyn Pinefield and Sidney Newman, plus he rewrote most of the caveman dialogue himself, and Patrick Mulkern has his notes to prove this. So yeah, this is another thing. A lot of people have been talking about how, if you actually look at the history of these episodes, a lot of the original Anthony Coburn dialogue was significantly rewritten by other people. So it just kind of makes the claims that Steph Coburn is making to these episodes feel even more tenuous. Now, I do want to say, as scary as the prospect as Steph getting the rights to TARDIS is, it's exceedingly unlikely. As I said in a previous video, he has tried this once before to no success. And it seems like there's enough evidence to substantiate the claim that Anthony Coburn did not come up with the name TARDIS, therefore Steph Coburn wouldn't be entitled to that trademark in his inheritance, as far as we can tell, and God knows what would happen if he did, but yeah, it seems exceedingly unlikely that he would be able to successfully claim that he is owed the trademark of the TARDIS, and the fact that he himself has said he is penniless would imply that he probably doesn't even have enough money to litigate such a thing anyway. And then, in an unbelievable turn of events, An Unearthly Child has topped the Amazon charts as a bestseller. I must admit, I bought an extra copy myself, in case I had to slot it into the eventual collection, Season 1. So yeah, as a result of Coburn admittedly himself trying to screw over the BBC for vengeance purposes, he has inadvertently given more money to the BBC, because the DVD rights for An Unearthly Child were sorted out years and years and years and years ago, as well as the other, early episodes. But obviously, in those original contracts, streaming wasn't a factor, because well, streaming wasn't a thing back then. But it's just really funny seeing that his scheme to essentially hoodwink the BBC has inadvertently resulted in the BBC getting more money. And here's another thing I want to point out too. The BBC probably won't make that much money from streams on these 4 episodes, especially not the latter 3, which most fans don't even really like that much. It's mainly just the first episode which is what makes this so significant. The BBC aren't going to make 20 grand off of iPlayer streams of these 460 episodes. They're just not. But what they do make money on is physical media sales, which he is contributing to further sales of. In fact, I believe I actually have a copy of the beginning DVD set from ages ago. Okay, so I didn't find the box set, but I did find my DVD copy of An Unearthly Child, so, you know, maybe I can flog this for millions in a few years if this carries on, who knows. But I wanted to also bring up this point made by James Johnson, the wonderful Pridonian over on Twitter. Go check out his Dalek art, it's absolutely incredible. He says, from what they understand, the BBC can actually only offer Steph Coburn 20k anyway, due to what's called the General Permissions License. It's a set standard residuals fee agreed with the Writers' Union and applies to all other shows the same way, so they cannot offer more anyway. Which that makes a lot of sense, because if the BBC had to give, you know, whatever amount any writer's family on any TV show they've ever made for them, then realistically the BBC would implode. So it makes sense for there to be a cap. So presuming that Steph Coburn's counteroffer was more than 20 grand, that might explain why the BBC couldn't accept it. However, in a slightly strange turn of events, if you go onto the BBC website and you look at their episode counters, which have given us some indication of what's going to be included in this Doctor Who collection on the 1st of November, you'll see the first 4 episodes of Doctor Who and An Unearthly Child all listed on their website. And you can even see, if you go to here, you can see they've got clips that link to it. They've got like a little photo gallery over here. So this all still seems to be up, and it looks as though it's remaining up. So I'm not sure whether the BBC will just fight this and say, well, look, we've offered you all we can offer, so either you take the money or sue us, which he doesn't seem to have the money to do. I do want to quickly say that while I'm saying all of this, I'm by no means a legal expert in the slightest. So if I'm wrong on any of these things, feel free to correct me in the comments below or let me know what you think I might be wrong. That's something I'm more than open to because, again, not my area of expertise, you know, I'm not exactly a lawyer. But it seems to me like even if he did have the money to sue, his arguments for this would be extremely, extremely tenuous at best, given that he's gone to court over pretty much this exact thing once before as well, and not succeeded. Also, he seems to apparently want people to share the episodes, which is somewhat bizarre because you'd think that by people sharing this, that would somewhat weaken his bargaining position, but to be 100% honest, and I've avoided, you know, personal claims up to this point, it doesn't seem like he's dealing with a full deck of cards, to put it nicely. But to end on some positive news, some animations have been confirmed to be included on iPlayer via the same method I pointed out before. This came from the Doctor Who division. The animated stories that have been listed on the database include The Power of the Daleks, The Moon Base, The Macter, and The Evil of the Daleks. Additionally, surviving episodes for partially missing stories, like The Underwater Menace 1 and 3, have also been listed. Will they all feature on iPlayer? It seems so. So that's really cool, that they're listing up some of the remaining parts of Lost Stories. Whether that'll mean that they'll do, like, reconstructions to pad out the stories or further animations, Russell T Davies himself did say that this wouldn't be a museum. They would continue to update stuff, so hopefully that means they are trying to make the biggest archive possible, which is very, very cool, which is what makes this whole Steph Coburn thing. One of the common things I heard in the comment section on my last video was, well, I've got the DVD, and in fact, I've got the DVD, so why does it matter? And the thing is, I suppose it's not just about being able to watch these stories, it's about media preservation, having these things in one place for the general public to access. You know, I don't use a library all the time, but just because I don't use it doesn't mean I don't want it there. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's the same with this. It's nice for new fans to be able to discover An Unearthly Child in what is arguably the most convenient way possible, having it on the BBC streaming service, which everyone in the UK has probably used at least once, makes total sense. It's more the principle of it than me being able to watch it. Because like I say, I have a copy, you know, it doesn't really affect me all too much. And even then, there's people who list it online via very legal means, but it's more about the accessibility and the convenience of it. But that's about all I wanted to talk about here. Again, I'll let you know if there's anything major that gets updated with regards to this story. As far as I can tell, this is about as much as we're getting at this time. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about any of this. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.